Hello everyone and welcome to Hadoop Learning Center. In the last session we had seen how to install VMware, Ubuntu 16, Java 8 and Eclipse. Today we'll continue our session and then we'll try to see how to install Hadoop latest version. Now I have prepared a very simple document. All you need to do is follow all these steps one by one. So step number 1, logging to your system as root. So this is my Ubuntu system. I have just changed my wallpaper. This is the same Ubuntu system which we had installed last time. Let's open the terminal. Alt Control T will launch the terminal. Okay, now currently I have not logged in as a root. If you see, who am I? Okay, so currently there is a user called Suraj who has logged in. So what we will do is we will change our user to root. Why? Because we have to execute some commands which cannot be executed by a normal Suraj user. Okay, so let's make ourselves a root user. So how to do that? All you need to do is you can just say sudo su. What is the meaning of sudo su? So sudo means super user do something. Sudo means super user do something. Do what? Make me super user. So the meaning of this line is super user do something. What is that? Make me a super user. That means make me a root. Copy this. Say paste. It is asking for password, and if you remember, the password was Hadoop. Okay, Control L to clear the screen, and now you say, who am I? You are no more a Suraj, you are a root user. Okay, so we have logged in to our system as a root. Now next step, create a dedicated Hadoop user called SD user. Give any name instead of SD user, but let's follow the same document. Make sure that you don't change anything so that you will not have any trouble. Now what we'll do is we'll create a simple user called SD user, okay, and then we'll add it to a group called Hadoop group. So let's do one thing. First we will create a group. Okay, so I have not created any user as of now. I'm just creating a group called Hadoop. Done. So we have created a group called Hadoop. Next, we will create a user called SD user. Okay, so I'm just saying sudo add SD user. So I'm saying sudo add user SD user. Let me keep a password Hadoop. Okay, now it is asking me to enter some information. Let me just press enter. Say yes. Done. So what we have done so far is we have created a group called Hadoop, and then we have created a user called SD user. Now what we will do, we will associate this SD user to a group. Okay, so the command is sudo add user SD user to Hadoop group. Control L. Okay, sudo add user SD user Hadoop. Done. So what we have done by this command is we have successfully added our SD user to a group called Hadoop. Okay, now instead of doing these two things separately, you could have done it in a single command as well. Now when we say this SD user is a normal user. Okay, it is not a root user, it is just a normal user, and it cannot execute all the commands. So what we will do is we will add this SD user to a special list called sudo list, which will help this SD user to execute such command which needs root level of privileges. For that, all you need to do is just say sudo vi sudo. We are going to edit one file. Control L. Done. Here we are into a editor, a file editor. Now what we'll do, we'll copy this. Okay, add a line under / allow member of a group sudo to execute any command anywhere in the format. Okay, so let's go down. Okay, so I'm saying you add one entry below this, allow member of group to execute any command. Okay, now just right click and say paste. Done. Okay, now once you are done, what you can do is press Ctrl+ X. Okay, so it will say, hey, do you want to save? Then you say Y, and then just press enter. We'll do that. Now I'm pressing Ctrl X. It is asking me, do you want to save changes? I'm saying yes. Okay, and then hit enter. Done. So we have just made a change. And what is that change? We told that recently we have created a user called _SD_user, and this _SD_user should be given some root privileges. Although it is not a super user, but we are trying to say, hey, give some root privileges to this _SD_user. Done. Next, now what you do, you log out your system and log in again as _SD_user. So let me close this. Say close terminal. You can click on this _SD_user. So what the password you have? Hadoop. All right. So let's improve the font of this. Custom font. Make it a little larger. Done. Alright, let's move ahead. Now what we need to do is we need to configure our SSH. So basically when we talk about Hadoop, like in Hadoop, we already know that we have several daemons, right? Like we have name node, secondary name node, data node, and so on. So all these nodes are basically processes, and they try to talk to each other using SSH. That's the reason we need to configure this SSH. So you can install the SSH by just executing this command. Copy this and say paste. If the copy paste is not working, let's try to reboot the system once. We'll say shut down and restart. Alright, so we have restarted our system and you'll see that our font is gone. So let's try to reset it again. Click on the settings. Display. Keep this. Say apply. Now let me see if the copy paste is working or not. Okay, copy paste looks like it's working. All right, let's move forward with the document. So we were just trying to install SSH. Copy this command. Open your terminal. Right click and say paste. Enter. Password is Hadoop. Say yes. So it is installing SSH. Okay, now we have installed SSH server. Now we need to generate some key for the communication. So as we know that you have name node, you have secondary name node, you have data node, and so on. So all this process will talk to each other using some secret keys. So we need to generate that secret key. So copy this command, say paste, enter, hit enter, hit enter, hit enter, and you should see some sort of image like this. And if you are seeing this kind of image, that means everything is going good. Next, now what you need to do is, whatever key we have generated, we will copy them into a authorized key file, so that whenever that key is used, the computer will understand that this key is authorized, and then it has all the permissions to do the communication. So for us, it's simply copy paste this command. So ideally what we are doing is, the key which you have generated just now, they are present under this location. Let me show you that. I'll say cd, this means home. Okay, under that there is a folder, a hidden folder called .ssh. Under that there is a file called id_rsa. You can say cd .ssh. We are inside the .ssh. You can say ls. So what ideally we are trying to do is, we are trying to copy this id_rsa.pop file into this particular location, into authorized key location. Okay, so let's get it done. Copy this, say paste, done. Okay, let me come back to my home, cd home. So ideally you can execute this command from anywhere, because we are actually using a full path. Tilde means the home. Let's move forward. So give this file a read permission. Control U to clear, Control L to clear, say paste. So we are trying to give a read write execute permission only to owner, and here owner means SD user. Done. Next, now we will try to start our SSH server. Control L. This command will restart your SSH server. Now let's try to connect. Let's try to connect to our SSH. So you'll say SSH localhost, hit enter. Okay, and just say yes. Done. Okay, now please observe one thing here. If you are asked to enter a password when you do this, that means you have not done something correctly. So please go back and check your steps and make sure that whenever you say SSH localhost, you should not be asked to enter the password. Now the next step is, we will disable our IPv6. Hadoop and IPv6, they don't understand this 0.0.0.0 addresses and all. So we will just disable this. So for that, all you need to do is edit a file. Edit a file called systemctl.config. So why are we using sudo? Because the SD user may not have all the permissions to perform any operations on any file, although we have added it to a sudo user list. So copy this, Control L, paste, enter, Hadoop, Okay, we opened a file. We'll go down. And just copy these 3 commands, or you can copy these comments also. Copied, Control C, and then you press I, insert mode, hit enter. Okay, and then right click and say paste, escape, :WQ to save and quit. Okay, W for write, Q for quit. Done. So we have made these changes. Now check if your IPv6 is disabled or not. Now I'll copy this command, say paste, hit enter. It is showing you 0, but if you reboot your system, okay, it should show you 1. Now let's try to reboot our system very quickly, and then we'll move ahead. Say close terminal, shut down, restart. Alright, so we have rebooted our system, and then let's copy and execute the same command again. Paste. Okay, earlier it was showing you 0, now it is showing you 1. That means we have disabled our IPv6 table. So this was the prerequisite, and then we'll start downloading our Hadoop, and then slowly we'll start installing it. So as of now we have the latest Hadoop 2.7.2, but tomorrow when you have 2.8, 2.9 or so on, the steps should remain almost same. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll download Hadoop 2.7 and save it in SD user desktop. How to do that? I'll go to my Ubuntu system. Let me open browser window. Alright, say Google, open Google. Say Hadoop download. Click on this. Alright, so you can see there is 2.6.4, 2.7.2. You can choose whatever. So let me say binary. Click on this. Alright, so it is pointing to a lot of mirror sites. Click on anything. Save file. Say OK. Alright, getting downloaded. Fine. So we have downloaded this. Now let me click on this open containing folder. Click on this. Okay, so here we go. I'll copy this file and let me paste it in my desktop for the time being. Alright, so I've just copied that file into my desktop. Okay, now let's follow the document. Now as I said, download it and then you place it in the desktop. You can place it anywhere, but let's go with that. Now what we will do, we will move the file, this zip file, whatever you have downloaded, from the desktop to this location. Okay, to this location. So we'll open our terminal. We'll do everything from command line. Let's open this terminal. Control L. I'll go to my desktop. Let me go to my desktop. Okay, I'll say ls. Now I can see there is a file .tar.gz, and we want to paste it in this location. We want to copy this file into /user local location. Let me go to that place. I'll click on this Explorer and I'll click on computer. Here I have user. Here I have local. Okay, and we want to copy that here. Okay, let me try to copy them directly like this. we'll say copy, we'll go to this place. Option is not coming because of the read and write permission issues. Okay, so you don't have a permission to write to this file. That's the reason we'll try to use the command prompt, and we will try to copy that as a root user. Okay, now the command becomes like this: sudo move the file from your desktop, this file, into /user local. Or you could have used cp also, but I wanted to cut and paste, so copy this command and paste it here. You can go to the home folder, or you can execute this command from anywhere. Okay, because I have written the complete path. Hit enter. Password is Hadoop. Now once this is done, go to your desktop and you will not find this file because we have moved it. Okay, so let's see that. I'll close this. Now see here, we have got this file now, but it has gone from here. So we have basically moved the file, not copied, but we have cut and pasted the file. Okay, done. Now what we'll do, we'll go to our same place, cd user local, wherever we have our Hadoop zip file. Cd, I should say Control L, then shift insert you can do, or you can say paste also. Done. So we came to that place where we have recently copied our Hadoop tar file, ls Hadoop 2.7 tar.ggz. Next, now what we'll do, we'll untar it. Okay, we'll unzip that file. Paste, enter. Okay, so a lot of things are happening. Now let me click on this. Now you see you have got a Hadoop 2.7.2. Okay, it's done. So we have got Hadoop 2.7.2. okay, and we have extracted this from this tar file. Let's move to the next. Now once that is done, you have nothing to do with this tar.gz. Let me delete this. I want to delete this tar.gz file. Just say sudo rm and it should delete the tar file. Moving forward, now what we will do is Hadoop 2.7, whatever folder we have created now, we will create a link, we will create a nickname for this. Okay, so to create that, all you need to do is execute this command. Okay, say enter. Now if you see, we have created a folder called Hadoop. Okay, whereas this Hadoop is basically a shortcut to this folder itself. Why we have done this? Because I don't want to call Hadoop 2.7.2 every time. I would like to call it just a Hadoop folder. Okay, so just creating a nickname for that. Now once you have created a nickname, you can always say cd Hadoop instead of just saying cd Hadoop 2.7.2, 2.7.3. So this will help you a lot when you have tomorrow Hadoop 2.7.3 or 2.7.4 or 2.8, because I don't care about the version number. I'll just say cd Hadoop and then I'll be into the folder. Okay, next, now what we need to do is we need to change the owner of this 2.7.2 folder to SD user of Hadoop. Let's go back, cd dot Control L, and let me say ls-ltr. Okay, look into my Hadoop folder. Who is the user? The user is root. So who is the owner of this Hadoop folder? Root. Okay, now we would like to change the owner of this Hadoop folder or Hadoop 2.7.2 folder. So for that, just execute this. Now we are trying to say from today onwards, Hadoop 2.7.2 folder owner name is SD user and this owner belongs to Hadoop group. Now we'll say ls-ltr again. Okay, now look into this, look into it here. Okay, so the owner of this 2.7.2 is Hadoop, sorry, SD user Hadoop. In the previous case we saw some number, so that was basically a root. Now why it is showing you root here? Because it is showing you the owner of Hadoop shortcut. Okay, if you want you can change that also, no worries. Done. But you really don't need that. ls-ltr. Okay, so all we wanted to do was we wanted to change the owner of Hadoop 2.7.2 to SD user of Hadoop group. Let's move to the next. Now we will give all the permission to this 2.7.2. Now let's move ahead and we will configure our Java and all in our Hadoop environments. So currently the Hadoop is installed in this location. It has a folder called etc. Again it has a folder called Hadoop. It has got a file called Hadoop env.sh. So this is the place where we will configure some of our variables. Now the first command is basically sudo vim, that means open the editor. Sudo vim, open the editor to change something on it. We'll go down completely. Say insert I, enter, and then copy paste these 3 lines. Copy and then say right click and paste. You can go ahead and say delete, again delete. Now make sure that you are pointing to the current version of your Java. Okay, how do you confirm that? What you do is go to your user local Java. I'll click on this user local Java. Okay, and what is this? JDK 1.8 0_91. So if you see some other number here, make sure that you change it accordingly here also. Okay, so escape:_wq. Done. Okay, now there was a slight difference in Hadoop 2.6 and 2.7. In Hadoop 2.6 the location was /user local Hadoop conf, but in Hadoop 2.7 there is no configuration folder. Okay, so earlier this file used to be present under configuration in Hadoop 2.6, but Hadoop 2.7 onwards, or at least in Hadoop 2.7, you don't have a configuration folder. Okay, next, now we will update our bash RC. Copy this, Control L, right click and say paste. So all this command you can execute from anywhere because we are always using the complete path. So go down, completely down, I, insert mode, press your arrows and then hit enter. Okay, and then we are just saying configure the Hadoop home, prefix, home, and so on. So make sure that if there is anything which is repeating, you can delete them. Alright, so ideally you can just copy paste all these things, whatever is there in the green. Copy, and then I'll just say right click and say paste. Okay, so just check it out everywhere that you have not missed anything. Delete. Make sure that you don't delete any extra characters, otherwise it will give you trouble. Done. I think we are done. So say escape:_wq. Okay, so in order to reflect your changes that you have recently done on your bash RC, you need to close your terminal. This terminal you should close it and relaunch it. Alright, let's move forward. Now we'll create a temporary directory which will be used as a base location for your DFS. What do you mean by that? When we say SDFS location, right? So it's basically a global, but internally if you look into SDFS, they will basically, take the size, they will basically occupy the space in our local hard disk. So we are just trying to create a temporary directory which will be created, which will be used as your SDFS. Now what we are doing is we are trying to create a directory called /app under that Hadoop directory, under that temp directory, and then we are trying to give a user, we are trying to change the user to SD user and Hadoop and give all necessary permission to it. So let's execute this one by one. Paste, enter, Hadoop, copy, enter, copy, enter. Okay, now please make a note of it here. If you forget to set the required ownership and permission, you will get a IO exception when you try to format the name node in the next section. Okay, and then you'll go clueless what is this IO exception, but it was because of your permission issues. The Hadoop was not able to perform read write operation, and then it may throw you IO exception. Alright, so make sure that you don't miss it. Okay, next, now we will update our 𝗟𝗏-site.xml. In Hadoop 2 we have yarn, right? In Hadoop 1 we don't have it. We'll talk about that later. Those theories we'll talk about that later, but let's move forward with our installation. Okay, so this _site.xml is present under this location, and we're just saying vim control L, right click and say paste, enter. Okay, so here like nothing is available here, so you need to make some entries. So just copy these things, copy them, go little down, here press I, and then go little down and just say right click and paste. Okay, so the configuration will have property, so it goes like this. Properties will have the data, like properties will have the data in key value pair format. Key value, property, again property, again name, value, again property, escape :wq. Done. Next, we'll update our core site.xml. Copy, paste, enter. Again go down, enter, sorry, press I, enter, and then you copy this. You can ignore this description if you don't want, that is purely optional. Copy, paste. Okay, so make sure that everything is properly opened and closed, otherwise you will face some problem if you forget to close a tag and so on. Done. Next, now what we will do, we'll try to write few things in map_rate site.xml. but by default map.site.xml is not present, whereas map.site.xml.template is present. So what we will do, we'll make a copy of this template file and then we'll start writing on it. Copy this, say paste, enter. So now we have our map.site.xml, and this is basically a copy of your map.site.xml.template. Once done, we will edit that file. Control L, press enter, go down I, and then just copy paste this. Escape :/WQ. Now whenever we do any operations on Hadoop, they need some directories to store their partial work. Okay, so we need to create some directories. So here goes those directories. Make sure that you create the directory and then you give the appropriate permission to it. Copy, paste. We created a directory called name node where the name node related work will be done. Copy, paste. -p means create the directory recursively. If the parent directory is not there, create it, and inside that again child directory, create child directory, and so on. Copy. We are giving all the permissions to it. Copy this, giving all permissions. Changing the owner. Copy. Done. Okay, next we need to edit our sdfs site.xml also. So let's edit it. Paste, go down, say I, insert mode, copy them. So what we have done is, whatever directories we have created earlier, the name node directory and data node directory, we are just configuring it here. Right click and say paste. Done. Make sure that all your properties are closed properly. Escape :/WQ. Please don't make any mistake while writing those XMLs. Alright, so we are in the very last step. Now we need to format our name node. Okay, so open a new terminal, as the Hadoop command will not work here. So we will close this terminal again, and again we'll open a new terminal. Paste. So this is basically a Hadoop command. Okay, we are trying to format our name node. That means format everything, and let's get started for the very first use. Alright, looks like it is done. Now let's try to start our single node cluster. Okay, so first of all, you can congratulate yourself that you have successfully installed a single node cluster. Now let's try to see how to start. So earlier we used to write start all.sh. That also works here. Okay, but I prefer to use start dfs and start yarn explicitly. Paste, enter. Hold on, so it is starting some nodes. Okay, it's saying, do you want to continue? Say yes. Alright, done. Now let me say JPS. Let's see what all service got started due to this. Okay, so you can see a secondary name node, the name node, and then the data node got started. Now we will execute our second command, start yarn.sh. Alright, now let's see what all it has started. Okay, so name node, secondary name node, data node was already started. Now the second command started node manager and then your resource manager. Okay, so when you say JPS, make sure that you have at least these 2 and these 3. Okay, so at least these 5 services should be up and running. If there is any problem, that means you have made some mistake. Please go and revisit your entries and make sure that everything is running good. Next, now sometimes or most of the time you may also face this problem when I say Hadoop fs-ls. Alright, no such file or directory. Now the reason is very simple. Somehow when we formatted our name node, it was not able to create the home directory in SDFS. So what to do? You can manually create the SD user folder. Okay, so earlier we used to say Hadoop fs-mkdir. Alright, this will still work, but they are now deprecated. They say use this command, sdfs dfs -mkdir -p/user sd user. So earlier you were getting the problem because it was not able to find out this particular folder. Okay, let's make it. Control L, enter. Alright, so by default it is supposed to create this SD user folder under your /user in SDFS, but sometime or maybe most of the time it may fail to do so, and if it is so, then you create it manually and then you say Hadoop fs-ls. Now you should not get any error. Done. Now these are the port numbers where your name node resource manager would be working mostly. So let me copy this. Alright, so this is basically your name node details, and then this is your resource manager. Alright, so this is something like your job tracker in our Hadoop 1.x. Alright, so please make a note here that in your Hadoop 2, okay, you will not see your job tracker and task tracker. Okay, they are basically taken up by your resource manager and then your node manager. We'll talk about the Hadoop 2 architecture, the yarn architecture separately as part of our discussion in the coming classes. Alright, that's all for today. We will keep on adding more and more videos. Please like and subscribe and comment on our videos. Thank you and have a nice time.